Hi everyone, this is Paul here from the Magdalene Centre. Today I'm doing the astrology report for the week commencing the 29th of August. Now I'll be outlining some of the key themes and aspects that this particular week's astrology highlights to us. Before I do that though, I just want to clarify that the astrology doesn't control our lives, it merely gives us context of what's happening around us. It helps us to understand what kind of spiritual themes are unfolding collectively, and this then enables us to respond to events around us rather than react to them. But in and of itself, the astrology doesn't force things to happen. It's merely a set of influences that, if we understand what kind of message or lessons are available, we can then seek to operate at the higher level of the potentials that the aspects provide for us. Now, as usual, I'll start off with the moon's transits through the signs. We've got the moon initially starting in Aries, so we'll be feeling that urge to take action, to get things started, or to get moving with things, and just that desire to initiate new beginnings, or just take action. On Friday, the moon will then move into Taurus, so this will be a time for kind of getting grounded, slowing down again, and potentially a time for where we may want to spend a bit more time in nature or more greener environments which help to calm us and ground us. On Sunday, the moon will move into Gemini, and this will be a time where we may feel that desire to communicate, to connect with one another, to focus on listening and speaking abilities, and also to kind of gather information about any projects we're working on. Before on Tuesday, the moon enters her home sign of Cancer. This is a time for kind of getting back in touch with roots, to maybe spend more time on the home front, and to just get in touch with our emotions, get in touch with our feelings, and give them space, but understand that we're not our emotions. They're just they have a natural ebb and flow to them, and ideally we should move with them but not be controlled by them. Now, in terms of the aspects this week is a comparatively quiet one, but in some respects it will serve like a natural build-up, or the calm before the storm, before we have a lot of changes from next week onwards, which will go into more detail in next week's video. But for this week, one of the key formations that we've got is a minor grand trine. So this is basically, rather than the normal grand trine, which is 3 trines, this is a trine split in half by 2 sextiles. So we have Jupiter trine to Neptune, with Pluto in Capricorn forming a sextile to both planets. We've already had the exact trine between Neptune and Jupiter, and we won't be experiencing another one for several years now, because this is the closing trine between the two. This particular formation or this particular aspect between Jupiter and Neptune kind of asks us to work on that generosity of spirit, and show generosity and kindness towards other people. It's about learning to be happy for someone else's happiness and not just our own. So it's learning to overcome any tendencies we may have towards jealousy when we perceive other people to be doing better than who we are, or better than how we're doing rather, and instead learn to celebrate other people's happiness, and rather than wallow in our own scarcity, if you like. And with Jupiter in the sextile to Pluto, this aspect brings an opportunity for us to take some risks, if you like, or take risks which will expand our level of perception beyond the known, but also to work on deepening our understanding of our own shadow. This particular sextile will be exact on the 12th of September, so it's building up at the moment, and this particular formation will be in effect for most of the rest of August and most of September. So I've got a few weeks to take advantage of this particular formation before Jupiter moves beyond its current position and breaks contact with Neptune and Pluto before reconnecting with them again when he's moved into his home sign of Sagittarius. But for now, we have an opportunity for us to explore our internal nature, explore the unconscious side of our being, to shine a light deep into the recess of our mind, and to let go of any obsessions that we've got from the past, to let go of any fears, go of any desire to try and control other people, and to face any sense of victimhood that we may be holding on to. So it's looking within ourselves and seeing, where are we still holding on to the past? Where are we struggling to live in the present because we're trying to hold on to some baggage from the past, whilst another part of the mind is saying it's time to let go of this, it's time to move on, it's time to close a chapter and open a new one. It's time for us to see, where can we let go of our old stories, the old narratives that play in our heads, and how can we embrace a new way of perceiving things? How can we embrace a more forgiving attitude, and how can we liberate ourselves through embracing forgiveness? But it's also a time for having that humility to acknowledge where we ourselves are responsible for something. Pluto in Capricorn is all about taking personal responsibility for our own lives and learning to develop complete agency over our own lives, rather than relying on other people to make things happen for us. It's having that, learning to believe that we have the capacity to build the lives that we want, or that's right for us, but it's only going to happen if we dare to take some risks, if we embrace if we face our own shadow side and our own, or confront our own relationship with power. Do we want power? Is it something we fear? And do we define power as something that's external, so the ability to control or manipulate the environment and people around us? Or does true power lie within us, and is the sole responsibility of each and every one of us to connect with that power and allow it to transform us in a way that we become empowered, and we then desire to help empower the people, if of course that person wants to be empowered. Some people don't, as weird as that may sound. That's just something we have to accept. This formation brings us an opportunity for closure, to let go of the past, to embrace forgiveness, embrace love and compassion, and to be true to who we are, rather than trying to pretend to be something that we're not. But obviously it brings opportunities, but we actually have to take them. The astrology itself isn't going to force anything upon us, but it's a time of paying close attention to events around us, our interactions with other people, and to pay attention to what's coming up from deep within us, what memories from the past are coming up that we need to resolve, whether it be of issues where we've endured pain at the hands of someone else, or where we may be the one inflicting it. So it's taking up ownership of our pasts, of releasing it through forgiveness, and forgiving other people where necessary, and forgiving ourselves for the part we played in any given dynamic. We also have a Yod formation this week, which is present for most of the week and will continue into the beginning of next. And this one is between Venus in her home sign of Libra, Vesta in Sagittarius, and the two of them are apexing at Juno and Taurus. So it's all feminine bodies, and it's a formation that's asking us to pay close attention to the nature of our relationships, to see where do we have issues around things like fear of abandonment, fear of loss of security in relationships, and it's also where do we feel a conflict between our work focus and our relationship needs, and where do we feel a conflict between the need for love, or the need for connection with one another, and where's that we're getting conflict with the deeper relationship needs in soulmate relationships. Because Juno is like the next step on from Venus in a relationship. Venus is the initial attraction, Juno is the ceiling of it. But originally Juno was more to do with sisterhoods in the distant past, and for the most part in a lot of Juno's operating at the shadow end of it, because the Juno archetype hasn't really been explored that much. So part of it is looking at where do we have commitment fears? Where do we have a fear of love? Where do we fear giving and receiving? Or more importantly, where do we fear falling in love with someone else, or being in love with someone else, and worrying will we lose our autonomy or anything like that? So this particular formation brings us a spiritual challenge of transforming the way we relate to one another in such a way that we relinquish any fears of abandonment, we relinquish any fears of infidelity, and we face we look at where do we have deep-seated fears of betrayal, of rejection or abandonment, and are these fears actually valid? They may have been valid in the past, but are they valid now? Or is these fears that we need to let go of and allow ourselves to be transformed through renewing the mind and releasing these fears, and instead seek greater harmony and equality in our relationships, and seek a way that is mutually beneficial, or is about mutual commitment and mutual trust, and brings that deep connection and intimacy born out of faith and trust in one another. This doesn't just apply to romantic relationships, it also applies to our deepest friendships, and it also rules relationships between student and guru or teacher, whatever word you want to use in any given circumstance. But it's about facing any fears of betrayal and transforming them through learning to, because if we love ourselves enough, then we're not dependent on someone else as a source of love and nurturing, we're doing it for ourselves. And therefore, if someone else is doing something that we don't like, if we love ourselves enough and we can give ourselves that nurturing, then our own well-being doesn't suffer at the hands of other people. Now, the last thing that will be taking place this week is Pallas Athena will be moving into Virgo on Tuesday. So this is a time, because she's been in Leo for about 2 months or so, and during this time it's been about the wisdom of creating, the wisdom of inspiration, if you like, and it's about healing through embracing creativity and acting things out, or using drama to resolve past issues. But now with Pallas Athena moving into Virgo, the kind of wisdom she's dealing with here is to do with discernment, of separating the wheat from the chaff. So it brings a much more analytical focus to the mind, and it could be seeing how can we, because Pallas deals with healing, so in Virgo could be looking at how can we heal ourselves through using proper or consuming proper nutrition. So how can we change our diet in a way that is more conducive to strong health. It's also about where can we strengthen our bodies and minds through exercise. So it's dealing with the daily nuts and bolts of life, so the exercise that's necessary to maintain the body, the necessary nutrition to give the body the fuel that it needs, that isn't going to cause problems later on. So it's nutrition that's wholesome, healthy, and gives us the necessary ingredients to maintain a strong and healthy body, because the stronger we are, the better able we are to help ourselves and help others. And it's also looking within ourselves and our environment around us as a time for separating the wheat from the chaff. So it's nicely coinciding with the harvest season, which Sun moving into Virgo was marked the beginning of. And this is a time for doing that internal inventory to see what can we let go of, what isn't going to serve us any longer, it's just going to create baggage, and what stuff is going to be beneficial for us, or what can we take forward through the cycle of growth, and recognise that if something doesn't serve a purpose anymore, it's better to let go of it rather than holding on to it just in case we need it. It's recognising where do we need to simplify things down a bit, where can we cut away excess, and where can we achieve a more streamlined approach to things, and where can we try and change our daily habits and routines so that they're simplified where possible to free up more spontaneity, but also they're routines that will ensure that we maintain our health, we maintain our vitality, and making sure that we're not doing things out of insecurity, that we're making sure that we do things that nurture ourselves and reinforce love for self rather than criticism of the self. So there's a lot to take on board there, but overall the theme for this week is about letting go of the past and clearing space. There's going to be a lot of changes taking place from next week onwards, so this is like the calm before the storm. So the more we work on ourselves, clearing out our interiors, clearing out the contents of the mind that don't serve us and are just going to limit us, and see how can we strengthen our health, how can we improve our minds through exercise, eating foods that nurture the body and mind and give us the right nutrition for our bodily needs and for the brain's needs. And it's embracing universal love, forgiveness and compassion in order to cut away the past, to let go of old conditioning and to embrace a more empowered sense of self. But this doesn't happen automatically. There are opportunities presented to us, we have to take them, and that's only really going to happen if we're paying close attention to what's unfolding around us and we seek to live in the present moment rather than living in our heads worrying about the past, or stressing or dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. It's only in the present moment where we'll truly encounter the lessons or truly transform in line with them. So the more we can learn to live in the present moment and embrace life as it is rather than criticising things or judging things as being inadequate, it's being in the present moment and having the courage to let go of what no longer is valid for who we are, and to create space for the necessary changes and to try and simplify things down rather than always complicating things. So I hope this useful guide for the week. I hope it brings you many blessings. Take care.